instance, a recent job tender by the Office of the Commissioner of the Official Languages for an investigator. It's bad enough that there are 6 offices staffed by 164 people that fall under the Office of the Commissioner of Official Languages across Canada. It's even worse that based on their own stats for 2014-2015, there were a whole 550 complaints in the year. Quiet! Can people at the back hear me? Bruce, can you hear me? No? Come see, come stop? Thank you. Is that better? Yeah? Okay. Yep. Yeah. As long as it doesn't start feedback. So there are 6 offices of the Office of the Official Commissioner of Languages, and they want an investigator. They've got 164 staff already, and they had a whole 550 complaints in 2014-2015. So if we do some simple math, let's see, 550 complaints divided by 164 staff, that means, and the staff makes $18 million in wages and benefits at the OCOL. So that means that each staff, if they each handle a case, handle the whole 3 cases in the course of a year. And the Commissioner, Graham Fraser, says he can't handle more. He needs an investigator now. Do you believe it? I don't. Do you think it could be another ad scam going on with using the Office of the Official Languages? Being that this is a tender for an outside contractor, we don't have a clue how much the demand is going to be from the language czar for taxpayers to pay for this investigator, but we do know that there is technology. And there's technology that is advertised on the internet for travelers, an automatic translator. And it costs less than 200 bucks Canadian. So say we took the $18 million that they spent last year for the Office of the Official Commissioner of Languages, and instead of wasting it on payroll, spent it on these devices, technology, we could provide 90,000 translators to government workers. So just imagine what a Christmas present that would be. It would mean that governments and businesses could once again go back to hiring people based on merit and skill instead of language. It would mean taxpayers would be saved from having to pay $800 extra per year in bilingual bonuses to public servants hired for jobs that required bilingualism in the first place, which is costing taxpayers an extra $60 million a year. It would mean less government workers would be on stress leave, as so many are in that position because of the fact that they stress over the insecurity and the constant threat of losing their jobs because of the language testing. The savings to taxpayers by going the modern technology route instead of the same old discriminatory, unaccountable route are huge in a time when so many are having to choose between heating, eating, and paying their hydro bills. Of course, groups such as the movement to make Ottawa officially bilingual, which then morphed into Bilingual Ottawa, would disagree. And they would say, not only would we have to pay more money into the language lagoon, but they would also imply that 72% of Ottawa residents want Ottawa to be declared officially bilingual. Obviously, there are certain questions which would have to be clarified about this survey that they did. A survey, I might add, that was funded by money that should have gone to healthcare and education, but which the Montfort Hospital and the French school boards proudly and publicly handed over to fund this Francophone group study. These surveys cost a minimum of $30,000. We know because we've tried to afford one, and we haven't been able to afford one. Of course, surveys can have predetermined outcomes just based on the question that is asked. So, is it any surprise when the media reports the results of a survey, they do not include the actual question that was asked when they were doing the polling? For instance, if someone called you and asked, if bilingualism was a good thing, of course anyone with common sense would say, well, yeah, bilingualism is a good thing. The answer is skewed to get a high percentage of predetermined yes answers. However, if you asked if forced bilingualism at a cost of $2.4 billion a year is a good thing, the outcome would be a totally different answer. And who believes these polling people anyhow, especially after this week's election in the United States? When you see how far off they are in their polling, why would you believe them anyhow? Then, of course, the other question is, and this question, if any reporter would have the guts to ask it of this movement to make Ottawa officially bilingual, is if it's so important to have, it's such a good thing to have Ottawa declare themselves officially bilingual and have Ottawa taxpayers pay that extra outrageous cost just to be officially bilingual, why are they not demanding the whole national capital region be officially bilingual? Because, of course, that would mean Gatineau. And of course we know, and this just destroys their whole concept of saying that bilingualism is a good thing. It has nothing to do with bilingualism. This is all about bringing French into Ontario and having French Quebecers take away Ontario jobs. One company that links Quebecers with Ontario jobs is called RGA, or Regroupement des gens des Affaires. The president and founder is one Jacques de Courville-Nicole. He is also the founder of the movement to make Ottawa officially bilingual. So he's got a company that has workers in Quebec wanting to come work in Ontario, and he's behind the movement to make Ottawa officially bilingual. No conflict of interest there. But I'm not done yet. We do know these French organizations get funding from the Trillium Foundation. But did you know that when you search the Ontario Trillium Foundation website and do a search about who is not eligible to get an Ontario Trillium grant, the response is provided. OTF will not support individuals, for-profit organizations, or organizations whose purpose is related to political activity. Now, if you ask about the anti-discrimination policy, OTF responds, OTF will not fund organizations that discriminate or that seek to limit the legal rights and activities of people. Well, both of those fit exactly what every French group that gets money from the Trillium Foundation is trying to do. They're trying to stop unilingual Anglophones from getting jobs, and they are political lobbyists. They lobby our politicians. That's what they do. So how can the Trillium Foundation justify giving these groups money? I don't know how many of you heard about the South Mountain Fair this year, and having the South Mountain Fair every year for over a century has had a greased pig contest, and they got a call from PETA this year. PETA, of course, are the people against the ethical treatment of animals, or whatever, and they said that they demanded that the South Nation Fair do not hold their greased pig contest. I think they think the pigs get greased instead of the kids' hands. But anyhow, the fair said, too bad, so sad, this is a tradition, it's part of our custom at this fair, we're doing it. Then they got a call from the Ontario Trillium Foundation, because the Trillium Foundation gives them their fair funding every year, and they told them that if they held that contest, they would not get their funding. So it seems to me the whole Trillium Foundation, which is the bloodline for all these French groups, is itself breaking its own political activity that they're not supposed to do. So when you look at the anointed board members that are on the Ontario Trillium Foundation to see where your tax dollars are going, and when you research their profiles, you will see many interesting links to the board members. And many of them go back to RGA, Regroupement des gens des Affaires. These are just a few of the issues that the Canadians for Language Fairness have been battling, and there are many more stories that you can find out at our newly revamped website. I don't know how many of you have checked out our new website yet. On September 2nd, the visitor count was 14,038. As of this morning, our visitor count was over 40,000 hits on our website. on all our pens at the back there. Help yourself to the pens. Take them to your hairdressers and forget them. Take them to your garage and forget them. Leave them lying around so people can pick them up and might check out our website. And on that note, we're going to leave the land of linguistic lunacy, and I'm now going to introduce you to a good friend of Canadians for Language Fairness. I was trying to remember exactly when I first met Professor John Robson. I think it's been about 9 years ago now, and it was a symposium that at St. Paul's College or something that I met him at.